The traffic light flashed red, bathing the road in a sudden wash of color. General Ariana Miles, the youngest four-star general the country had ever produced, eased her black SUV to a halt. She had just come from a classified strategy briefing, hours of discussions, intelligence reports, and national defense planning, but her appearance didn't show it. She was dressed casually, hair tied back, looking like any other citizen heading home after a long day. Just a few meters away, two patrol officers were finishing a routine check on another car. One of them, Officer Briggs, broad-shouldered, known for his short temper, noticed Ariana's SUV and narrowed his eyes immediately, as if he had found a new target for whatever frustration had been eating him that day. He marched toward her like a man ready for a fight, not a conversation. He smacked her window with two hard taps. License. No greeting. No reason. No courtesy. Just a command. Ariana rolled down the window, keeping her voice calm and steady. Officer, may I know the reason for the stop? Briggs' jaw tightened. Because I said so. And don't talk back. Ariana had negotiated with world leaders, managed international crises, and commanded entire divisions of soldiers. But she still believed in respect. She still believed that wearing a badge or a star meant serving with dignity. Seeing the opposite was always painful. Still, she complied. She reached into her bag, took out her license and handed it over. Briggs barely glanced at it before scoffing. Loudly. Loud enough that even drivers in neighboring lanes turned to look. Step out of the vehicle now. Ariana blinked slowly. Officer, is something wrong? Briggs stepped closer, his face inches from hers. You're questioning me? That's talking back. Step out, or I'll make you. His partner, Officer Kent, shifted awkwardly. Briggs, maybe just explain the— Shut up! Briggs snapped without looking at him. She needs to learn respect. Ariana opened her door calmly, not because she was intimidated, but because she understood exactly what kind of man she was dealing with, someone who thought authority meant domination, not responsibility. Before she could even place both feet on the ground, Briggs grabbed her arm with unnecessary force, twisting it behind her back. Kent winced. Briggs, seriously, stop. This is too much. But Briggs was locked into his ego. He slapped the handcuffs on her wrists, metal biting into skin, and there, in the middle of a quiet street, under the glow of a red light, two officers handcuffed a four-star general, one of the highest-ranking military leaders in the nation, without cause, without reason, and without the faintest idea who they were dealing with. Ariana inhaled slowly, deeply, not out of fear, out of disappointment. She turned her head slightly and said in a quiet, steady voice, Officer, you are making a very serious mistake. Briggs smirked triumphantly. Lady, your only mistake was opening your mouth. He had no idea his words were about to cost him everything. Ariana sat quietly in the back seat of the patrol car, her hands cuffed behind her. The world outside blurred past the window, streetlights streaking like silent witnesses to the injustice unfolding. She didn't feel anger burning inside her, just a heavy, cold disappointment. She had spent her life training officers, soldiers, commanders. She had taught thousands about discipline, respect, and integrity. Yet here she was, being treated as though none of those values mattered. When they arrived at the station, Officer Briggs yanked the door open and pulled her out roughly. Move! He barked, shoving her toward a metal bench against the wall. Ariana did not resist. She simply steadied herself and sat down, looking up at him with calm eyes that only irritated him further. Sit, he repeated as if she hadn't already obeyed. Ariana's voice remained soft. I'd like to make one phone call. Briggs let out a booming laugh that echoed across the room. The other officers glanced over, confused by the scene, but unsure whether they should intervene. Who you gonna call? Briggs mocked. Your boyfriend? Maybe he can teach you some manners. Ariana didn't react. She didn't flinch. She didn't even frown. Instead, she nodded when another officer reluctantly handed her a phone. Briggs folded his arms, smirking. Go on then. Let's see how far that call gets you. Ariana dialed a single number, one very few people in the world had access to. When the call connected, she didn't raise her voice. She didn't dramatize. She simply said, "Commander Holt, activate the protocol ion shield war." There was a long, heavy silence on the other end. Then the voice of Commander Holt, normally authoritative and calm, sounded shaky. "Yes, General Miles, immediately." Briggs' smirk collapsed. His arms dropped to his sides. His partner, Officer Kent, swallowed hard, his face turning pale. "General? General?" The room suddenly felt too small, too quiet, too dangerous. Before Briggs could speak, the ground itself seemed to tremble. Engines roared outside, multiple engines. The station windows flashed with lights. Not police lights, but deep black, unmarked SUVs. Within seconds, the entire police station parking lot was filled with military security convoys, Pentagon intelligence vehicles, and a transport car marked with the Defense Secretary's insignia. Officers inside the station rushed to the windows, whispering and pointing in shock. The police chief burst through the doors, red-faced and panicked. "What is going on out there? Why is the Pentagon here?" He didn't have time to finish. A tall colonel in full uniform stepped inside, flanked by elite security personnel. His eyes swept the room with surgical precision. "Where is a General Ariana Miles?" he demanded. Every officer in the room pointed, slowly, fearfully, at Briggs. Briggs opened his mouth to explain, but the colonel cut him off sharply, his voice laced with pure disbelief and anger. "You handcuffed a 4-star general?" He stepped closer, staring Briggs down. "If a talking back?" The room fell dead silent. Briggs tried again, stuttering. Sir, she didn't identify. She—" "Enough," the colonel snapped. "You will hand over your badge. Right now." Briggs' career, the one he thought he controlled, with arrogance and force, ended in a single breath. And General Ariana Miles simply watched, calm and silent, as justice finally caught up. Ariana rose from the bench with calm, steady movements, the metal cuffs still dangling loosely around her wrists. The colonel stepped forward to remove them, but she gently motioned that she could do it herself. With a quiet click, she freed her hands and let the cuffs fall into her palm. She didn't slam them down. She didn't throw them. She simply held them, like a symbol of everything that had gone wrong. Her voice, when she finally spoke, wasn't sharp with anger. It carried something far heavier, authority with compassion. "I didn't call to punish anyone," she said. "I called because this station needs training, respect, and proper procedure." Her words filled the room like a cold wind. Officers who had watched the scene from a distance now stood frozen, unsure whether to step forward or stay back. She wasn't raising her voice. She wasn't trying to intimidate them. But there was something in her tone, controlled, deliberate, that reminded everyone exactly who she was. A true commander. The police chief stepped forward, sweat beading on his brow. "Ma'am, we didn't know—" Ariana held up a hand softly, stopping him. "That is the problem." The room fell silent. She looked around, meeting the eyes of every officer one by one. Respect shouldn't depend on a uniform. It shouldn't depend on rank. It shouldn't depend on who someone is. She paused, letting her words settle. Uniform or no uniform, people deserve respect. Several officers lowered their heads, ashamed. They had seen what Briggs did. Some had even felt it was wrong, but no one had stepped in. The colonel stepped forward, his voice stern but respectful. "General Miles is the head of National Defense Strategy. She commands nearly 200,000 personnel. She has clearance levels higher than anyone in this building." He glared at Briggs. "And you handcuffed her over ego." Briggs opened his mouth, panic written across his face. She questioned me. I thought she was being difficult." Ariana raised her hand again, stopping him gently. "Officer," she said, her eyes steady, "asking for a reason is not talking back. It's a citizen's right." Briggs' breath caught. The reality of his actions finally hit him. He looked around the room, expecting someone, anyone, to defend him. But no one moved. Ariana continued, her tone still calm, still controlled. "Authority is not power. Authority is responsibility. And when you use it to intimidate instead of protect, you break the oath you swore to uphold." Briggs' shoulders slumped, the weight of her words sinking deeper than any punishment could. He hadn't just handcuffed a general. He had insulted his badge, the symbol he was supposed to protect with honor. He had insulted his oath, the promise he swore when he first put on his uniform. He had insulted the trust of the people, who believed officers like him would treat them fairly. For the first time since the incident began, Briggs looked at Ariana not with hostility, but with regret. And that was when he finally understood. He hadn't ruined her day. He had ruined his own career, and everything that uniform was supposed to stand for. The Pentagon officials wasted no time. Within minutes of their arrival, orders were issued, files were requested, and every officer in the station felt the weight of something far greater than a routine disciplinary review. This was a Pentagon-level breach of protocol, and the military treated it like one. A senior official stepped forward, voice firm and cold. An immediate internal review will begin. Effective now. Briggs, still trembling from the shock of what he had done, didn't even protest. His badge, once a symbol of pride, was removed from his chest with a sharp, metallic click. He stared at the empty space where it had been moments ago, realizing that the authority he abused had vanished in an instant. His partner, Officer Kent, stood quietly nearby. The colonel turned to him. "You attempted to stop the incident. That will be noted in your record." Kent nodded, relief softening his expression. He had tried to prevent the escalation, and now, for the first time since the chaos began, he felt seen. The police chief swallowed hard as he stepped forward. Cameras were now rolling outside, reporters gathering like bees to honey. He cleared his throat and addressed Ariana. "General Miles, on behalf of this station, I offer my deepest apology. We failed you, completely." Ariana turned to him, her expression gentle but firm. "I appreciate your words, but apologies alone don't fix systems." The chief nodded, ashamed. "We'll request whatever training or restructuring you recommend. The department needs help." Clearly, Ariana paused for a moment, thinking. Then she said something that stunned everyone in the room. "I will personally train your department for 2 weeks." The room gasped. Officers exchanged shocked glances. Even the colonel stepped forward, whispering urgently, "General, you don't have to do this. You have national responsibilities. Let us handle the station." Ariana offered a soft smile, calm, graceful, and powerful all at once. "My job isn't just commanding soldiers," she said. "It's improving the country. If training one station prevents future abuse, then it's worth my time." Her words carried more strength than any punishment they could have issued. Outside, the media frenzy exploded. Reporters swarmed the entrance, microphones raised high, cameras flashing like lightning. "General, were you really arrested for no reason? What did the officers say to you? Is it true a Pentagon emergency protocol was activated?" Headlines flashed across screens. 4-star general arrested in traffic stop. Careers destroyed by ego, police under fire. One phone call, full Pentagon response. But Ariana refused every interview. She walked past the cameras without a single word. She wasn't here for fame. She wasn't here for revenge. She wasn't here to humiliate anyone. She was here for change. And sometimes the greatest leaders aren't the ones shouting orders. They're the ones who take a moment of injustice and turn it into a lesson that will transform an entire system. 2 weeks later, the police station looked nothing like the place Ariana had first walked into in handcuffs. The same officers who once carried themselves with rigid, defensive pride now stood in a straight, disciplined formation, taller, calmer, more grounded. Not because they feared Ariana, but because they had learned from her. Ariana walked to the front of the training hall for the final session. The room fell silent instantly, not out of intimidation, but out of deep respect. Every officer there knew they were standing before someone who had seen war, led armies, and yet still chose to spend 2 weeks teaching them humility and integrity. She clasped her hands behind her back, scanning the group. Many of them avoided her eyes, not out of shame, but because they genuinely admired her. She had pushed them hard, challenged their assumptions, corrected their ego-driven instincts, and taught them what real leadership looked like. "Authority doesn't make you powerful," she began, her voice steady and clear. "Character does." The words sank into the room, like a stone dropped into calm. water, creating ripples that would last far beyond this day. Ariana continued, "Your badge is not a weapon. It's not a shield for ego. It's a promise to serve, not dominate. A promise to protect, not intimidate." A few officers wiped their eyes, trying hard not to be obvious. Even the police chief standing in the back bowed his head. Someone recorded her speech and uploaded it online. Within hours, her message began spreading across social media. Within days, it went viral. Comment sections overflowed with admiration. This woman is a true leader, powerful and graceful at the same time. Every department needs training like this. Millions were inspired by her calm strength. But one person was more affected than anyone else. Briggs. Now, without a badge, without a uniform, and without the pride he once wore like armor, Briggs requested a meeting with Ariana. He expected her to refuse, but she didn't. He stood in front of her, shoulders slumped, eyes red, voice trembling. "General Miles," he said quietly, "I want to apologize. I was wrong, completely wrong." Ariana didn't interrupt him. She let him speak, let him release the weight he had been carrying. "I acted out of ego," he continued, "and I treated you and others without respect. Losing my badge, it showed me who I was becoming. I'm sorry." Ariana looked straight into his eyes, not with anger, not with judgment, but with clarity. "Learn from it," she said softly. "Become better. That's all the apology I need." The simplicity of her forgiveness broke him. Briggs wiped tears from his eyes, unable to speak. Ariana gave him a small nod and stepped into her SUV. She didn't slam the door. She didn't speed away. She simply drove off, calm, powerful, unbothered. Not because she was a general, not because she had rank or authority, but because she carried something far greater: honor. And that is how one officer's ego collided with the strength of a woman who didn't need shouting force or intimidation to prove who she was. A black woman general who transformed a moment of disrespect into a moment of lasting change.